Hello again, this is Rick Partlow coming to you from How to Write Science Fiction That Doesn't Suck. Okay, last time we were talking about world building. We may come back to that at some point, but I had a request to go into how I outline my books. Now, this isn't necessarily a requirement for writing science fiction that doesn't suck, because there's a lot of people that write great science fiction that are pantsers, who write off the seat of their pants. As some more pretentious people like to say, writing out of the dark, but it's pantsing. So, if you want to outline your books, there are many ways to do it. There are many resources online you can go to find that. Just Google how to outline. I'm not going to tell you all of those. I'm going to tell you how I do it, because that's why I'm making these videos, to share my methods with you. So when I tell you how I do it, don't feel as if this is how you have to do it, because it's not. You can do it any of several ways. There's different methods of outlining. There's different methods of pantsing. There's not just one way of pantsing. So don't take this as a prescription. This is a description of what I do. What I start with is an idea, obviously. An idea of what the book's going to be about. The basic plot of it. Is it going to be about mechs fighting in a ruined remains of an empire? That's the idea. And then after that, I start to write like a background. If I am working in a universe that I have not already established, I will start a historical background of the place where this is going to happen. Nothing too detailed, just like this is a Federation type civilization over a huge volume of space, and there's humans and there's aliens, just the general things. Once I get an idea in my head of the universe I'm writing in, then I will go into a synopsis. A synopsis is just basically me writing what the story's about, like almost a book description, except a little more detailed than that. At first, it's going to be very short. The generals of the story, like the son of a king pretends to be a mercenary in order to infiltrate another enemy kingdom so he can recover high technology treasure. That's Wholesale Slaughter. In case you haven't read the book, that's my book, Wholesale Slaughter. That's a synopsis of it. But that's just a general description. When I say synopsis, that's like the very beginning of the synopsis, and then I start writing the idea of the story. And when I'm doing this, I'm not thinking of chapters. I'm not thinking of arcs. I'm not thinking of character arcs. I'm not thinking of points of view. None of that. The synopsis, I just say what's going to happen from beginning to end. Wholesale Slaughter is an example. Logan is at is taking part in a raid on some pirates, and he rescues the people who were taken prisoner. He's frustrated, and he wants to do more to help people. He goes back home and talks to his father, the king, about it, and is told that they can't do anything because the other kingdoms prevent them from taking action outside their own boundaries. He's frustrated, but there's nothing he can do. Then his brother calls him in the middle of the night and says, "We've discovered a signal from this ancient legendary cache of weapons left over from the old empire." And he and his father are talking about how to retrieve it, and they decide that he is going to go undercover as a mercenary and use that as an excuse to get, just one thing after another. No character arcs, no bullet points, nothing like that. Just a general telling of what's going to happen in the story. Okay, I get that to the point where I know from beginning to end what's going to happen. Then sometimes, depending on what kind of a story it is and how many points of view there are, I will go in and say, okay, I want this in a 3-act structure or a 5-act structure, and I will write, this is the first act, this is the second act, this is the third act. I just take what I put in that synopsis already, that description, and I separate it into 3 acts. I don't always do that. It depends. If it's a first-person point of view, I generally do not do that because I can pretty much do that in my head. But especially with a longer book with third person and multiple points of view, I will go ahead and do that. I will separate it into acts. Once I do that, once I have everything I need on that end of things, I will start doing a chapter by chapter outline. This is the part that takes a while. I can do the synopsis in a day or two. The chapter by chapter outline can take a week, sometimes 2 weeks, depending how long the book is. You have to not only take into account the act you're in the story, you also have to take into account what point of view this chapter is going to be from. How many scenes are going to be in this one? Is there going to be one scene with one point of view? Or is there going to be 2 scenes and skip to a different character? Am I going to a different place? Am I explaining a different part of the plot? Am I examining part of a character arc? And which character is it? Where is it on their arc? So this can take a while. But at first, the first thing I do when I do the chapter by chapter, I will write a sentence. Sometimes I will take the description and I will separate it into sections that look like they'll be the beginning of chapters. Again, that depends on whether or not I'm separating into acts of the book. But I will start with like a sentence or 2 for each chapter. Sometimes less than a sentence, sometimes a sentence fragment, until I have from the beginning to the end. And this won't be the final number of chapters because I will often have to add chapters in, sometimes add a prologue, or sometimes I'll combine chapters together, although I don't usually combine chapters together in the outline. I'll usually, if it looks like it's going to be too short or not completely tell the story I'm trying to tell, I will take chapters out and combine them as I'm writing the book. Okay, so start with a fragment or a couple of sentences for each chapter. Then I will go back in and write a short paragraph just to further say what's going to happen in each chapter. And once I get all that done, I will go through and start expanding it to almost what some people call a rough draft, but I think it's not quite a rough draft. There's no dialogue in it. It's basically, if I was telling the story of this chapter to somebody, I would tell them this is how it goes. And I would include any dialogue. I would say, so he talks to this person, they talk about this, the thing he gets out of the conversation is this, he feels this way afterwards. If it's an action scene, he accomplishes this, he goes from this place to this place, he feels this way about it. And I will do that, and then I will go back through, and if there's something that struck me, like a line of dialogue I want to put in that chapter, or something that's important, like, okay, make sure that to describe how much this place smells bad, or make sure to describe how cold they are, make sure to describe how claustrophobic they feel, something like that. It's just something I want to make sure that gets through in that chapter. I will add that to the bottom of the chapter description, and I will do that till I'm done till I get to the end of the book. Now, sometimes, depending on the book, depending on how much latitude I'm giving myself, I will be less descriptive in the last few chapters, like the climax of the book, because I want to leave room to adjust things. Because sometimes when I'm writing, even though I've gone through this outline, sometimes I will diverge from it and decide to go another direction at the end of the book. Usually not till the end. Something happens, I'm like, oh yeah, this character should die, or I don't want to kill off this character, I have plans for them. So sometimes I'll leave the last few chapters descriptions like a little brief. Instead of going like several paragraphs, it'll be like one paragraph, or just to give myself room. But usually if I'm writing, for instance, an 80 to 90,000 word book, my final outline will be between 8 and 10,000 words. If it's a 100,000 plus page book, 100,000 plus word book, then I wind up with maybe 12 to 14,000 word outline. So as I said, this is how I do it. It's not how you have to do it. So that is the end of this section. If you have any questions or want to contact me, rickpartlow@gmail.com, dutyhonorplanet487@gmail.com, rickpartlow.com is my website, facebook.com/dutyhonorplanet. All right, thanks, and I will talk to you guys next time.